Hello, bow hunting enthusiasts and just outdoor nuts, archery geeks in general. My name is Chris. Hey, if you've never been through this channel before, my name's Chris. As I just said, this channel is called Personal Best Outdoors. Basically, I just want to invite you to the channel. Say hey, thanks for stopping by. New channel. Don't even have 100 subscribers yet. Trying to grow. I don't think I'm really going to do anything above, beyond, more unique or fantastic than has already been done before. But what I aim to do here is kind of show you my perspective on things and try to use my skill set, my knowledge, and maybe what I know to try to help other people develop, grow, encourage them to do like their own bow work, their own arrow building, building their own hunts, that kind of stuff. And I also aim to learn as much as I possibly can. So I found, that information knowledge comes from the most unlikely of sources. So I just literally at the end of the day want to share everything with you guys that I can. For those of you guys that don't know, okay, some of you guys will, I've been kind of having this mini series going on called the 11 factor arrow build. And basically it's a 12 factor arrow build minus using tapered shafts, just because tapered shafts are kind of a nightmare to tune, and I had a hard time finding some shafts that are, above a 340 spine and out of an 86 and a 75-pound bow. With the weight that I intended to use, there's just not any, stiff enough spine options. There are other things that can be done, but maybe we'll build a true 12-factor arrow or maybe a tapered shaft arrow build later on. But I digress from that. The one thing I realized as I was getting all these videos put up is there's a part of this process, and it's actually super ridiculously important, and I didn't show you guys that. It's edge finish. It's one of Doc's 12 factors. I'll point it right there, what factor number it is. But basically what it entails is how sharp is your broadhead. I also didn't show you guys like the overall shaft finish. Basically, what you do with the shaft afterwards to help increase penetration. So there is, something that I use, a shaft conditioner that kind of helps things to be a little more slippery when going through an animal. So what we're going to do here is we're going to show you that video. But what I have here, because I've been building my wife's, I guess technically they're a 10 factor arrow because I didn't build her a 650 grain arrow. But we've got her Tough Heads here, and Tough Head does a fantastic job at getting you basically a really sharp broadhead out of the box. That being said, I think it's up to each of us as a hunter to be able to spend the time and just make sure that things are completely dialed away, because you can get them substantially sharper than what they are out of the box. And sharpness is a pretty important factor in regards to penetration. Like Troy talks about it a lot in his videos. And maybe I'll ask him for permission and link that video up here for you guys to see, because he's way more entertaining. He's been doing the video thing a whole lot longer than I have. Basically, like if you're talking about slicing tissue, if you don't have like that perfectly honed stropped edge, it doesn't perfectly slice it. It's like as it cuts, it basically fragments that tissue or tears it. And that gives something for, basically the blood to start clotting on. Which can ultimately help the wound close up. And so if you have a nice sharp edge, it basically cuts that tissue on such an extreme level that it's basically, like it can't, those blood cells and stuff can't clot quite as easily as what they would by shooting with basically a slightly more dull broadhead. On top of that, the penetration gains you get are super important, and it changes nothing about your arrow setup. Nothing. Not even about your bow, like weight, what weight you're pulling, what your draw length is, changing nothing about your arrow other than putting a razor wicked sharp edge on it. And so what I'm going to do here, because I have been sharpening my wife's arrows now that I've gotten them built, I have two more that I have to sharpen. And I kind of want to show you how they come and what we're going to be able to get them to. In interest of full disclosure, I don't have a best sharpness tester. I'll look at getting one of those just for maybe future videos to kind of show you the net gains that you get by going through this work. But you'll see it's like a 10-minute process per broadhead, if even that much. It depends upon how bad off they are. If you've been practicing with it a lot and maybe, shot the metal leg on a 3D target or something, they're going to take a little more work than something that you've just shot into foam a bunch of times, or, maybe something that came straight out of the box. But what we have here, it's as it comes out of the package, okay? Kind of look on the back side of the Cerakote and you'll see that there's no wearing or anything on here, right? Versus this one, which I have sharpened. You can see like the back of the Cerakote and stuff's kind of worn back, and that's from when I removed the burr on the offside, basically. You'll notice too, it's kind of hard to see, but there's like a super shiny mirror finish on here. It looks a little opaque right now, or greasy, and that's because I put some Eagle Tears blade guard on there. You can see it there on my finger. But it's this stuff right here. But I put that on the edge of the sharpened broadheads to kind of help prevent rust and stuff. So I'm going to set down the super sharp one, and we're going to grab one that's basically out of the box sharpness. Just know that most broadhead manufacturers, they come somewhere in the ballpark of, you know, like 300 to maybe 450, maybe 500. As you know, I've seen circumstances where they're even more dull than that out of the box. But you can get these closer to that double-edged razor blade, like that 100, 115, 130 pretty easily by just utilizing a couple minutes worth of work. So we're going to take up this piece. This is just basic printer paper, and I'm going to hold this edge kind of in it, and I'm going to kind of slice while pushing. So let's see what we get. Getting it started is like the hardest one. Okay, hold on. I mean, you can see it kind of leaves things jagged, fuzzy. That's what it does to animal tissue, okay? And all that little jagged, fuzzy stuff is something that blood can clot on. So now let's take this sharp one, and we'll go ahead and hold this up. This is kind of a weird angle, but we'll hold this up. I mean, you see this? Just substantially better. So I'm going to show you my process for this. I get everything set up, show you what I like to use, and we will get started. Alright, so basically the list of things you're going to need. For the longest time I used these diamond sharpening stones. As long as you have a broadhead like these that has, you know, like a straight edge, you can use these. You can just kind of grind them along that surface and get them nice and sharp. You can use these. You can use a Lansky for broadheads like these. There are places like that sell you jigs for sharpening specific broadheads. But what I've graduated to that I love using is this Precision Adjust Elite by Worksharp sharpeners. It's pretty user-friendly. It's very super repeatable. Makes things a lot quicker. Like I said, I'm not sponsored by anybody at this point, so this is all stuff that I purchased, paid full price for, anything. I just believe they make a really good product. So I mean, it took me a while to kind of bite the bullet and buy one, because I think this was like near $300, this specific model. So anyway, I've had it for like a year or two maybe, and absolutely love it. You're going to want, you know, like a stropping compound. So this is like an alumina oxide powder. You know, it's like similar to, I think, like a 2000 grit, or maybe a little more coarse than that, and a strop. So this one I got from Sirius, and the only reason I got it from Sirius is their advertisement is hilarious. If you look at this thing on their website, it shows 2 strops, and it says you under this one, and then it shows the other guy, and it's like that long. Right? So it made me laugh, right? So I picked this thing up, been pretty happy with it, but basically you're going to put the stropping compound on the rough side, and then, you know, like this fine side, the shiny side, it used to be fine, you know, you'll use to kind of finish up your product. And then for sharpening, to make sure you're getting the right bevel, a Sharpie to put on the edge, and then for finishing things off, I like using this Eagle Tears blade guard. It's food grade, safe. You know, you can use all kinds of things. I've known people that have shot like the edges with a little bit of spray paint or whatever, just to prevent rusting. So let's go ahead and get you guys set up, and I will show you the process for getting these guys wicked scary sharp. Alright, so basically I've got this guy set up here. I'm just kind of putting the clamp, and then I'm just going to draw a line here, kind of down here towards the very edge of where, I guess the edge, if you imagine it being a knife, because that's what we're trying to sharpen. It doesn't really so much matter if you sharpen up here, and, you know, don't worry about this. This is the weight. This is the weight before we put veins on there. She's actually 520 grains. But basically now what we want to do is make sure that as we're moving this across there, we're removing that Sharpie mark. So, you know, we'll intentionally just kind of, I guess, well, actually, let's just go ahead and grind it and see what we got here. Alright, so I'm actually doing pretty good. I'm getting here towards the edge down here, but I'm not really getting it here. So we'll come up just a little bit more. There we go. So you can see this came straight from the factory, and you see after like wiping this across there a couple times, there's a little bit of unevenness. Now, based on what they used to sharpen it before, it's not going to be the perfect setup for this, but once you get this angle set and done, you make a mark on there for where this is at, and you can set it up there every single time. So let's go ahead and get this sharpened, and we're just going to keep an eye on the Sharpie. And I've seen videos where people like do a sawing motion like this. For me, I prefer to do like small circles like this. The reason for that is because as you pull down and go back, you're coming to a hard stop, right? You kind of put these lines that are going in it this way, and you want to have even wear across this to have a nice, perfectly honed edge. And I just know for me, my personal preference is doing these small circles on it like this. It gives me a much finer finished product with a more consistent edge. Plus, you don't have to worry about maybe going too much here, not enough here, or vice versa, and creating like those lines and stuff that are in there. Because ultimately, like I said, we're looking for the best, most perfect edge we possibly can. This is a great tool for getting you there. It just takes a little bit of setup and understanding first. And I forgot to mention, I started with the 320 stone. A little bit overkill, but you know, I just wanted to quickly get this Sharpie off there and basically put the bevel on this thing that I'm going to be keeping on it, because I'm going to be the one sharpening them as my wife uses them. So what we'll do is we'll just make a mark on this after we get the broadhead done. That way we know where it's at, and every time we just go right to it. So like I said, small circular motions for me. Don't push, because if you push, what'll happen is it can cause this broadhead to tip down like this, right? So if you're looking at it from the front side, it'll do this. Also, it'll kind of force this arrow back, and that changes the actual angle that you're grinding on here. So real light pressure, just let the weight of it do the work for you. And just as you kind of circle, move up, move down, you know, try to keep the pace even, and you'll wind up with something you're really happy with. So let's get going on it. And I basically go until I can kind of feel, so yeah, I can feel that on the backside. You'll feel the burr has kind of pushed its way down. Now, I've seen videos, and this is the way that this thing is designed to be used, where you can basically kick this thing back like this. You can push down on this red tab, and you can turn the whole thing to get to the other side. If this was a double bevel, that's how I would do it, because you would need to sharpen equally on both sides. However, because it's a single bevel, what I like doing is taking the diamond plate that I just finished with, okay? And I stick it on the underside here. This is like perfectly flat up against it, and what I'll do is I'll just kind of do a few little circular motions. Just small ones, right? Not really putting a whole lot of weight or pressure on there or anything. And just like that, that burr is completely gone. That's what I like doing, because you have to take that off to change to the next one anyway. So now we're going to go to the 400. And same thing that we did before with the 320. We're just going to, oops, yep, that's on there. Just small light circles. Okay, and I'll feel it, but I bet you we're good. Yeah, you can hear it kind of grabbing my fingernail or my finger. So same thing. Just kind of leave this flat. Do a few little circular motions on the back side. And see that? You can't hear that anymore. That's when your burr is gone. There's maybe a little bit right here. Yep. Okay, completely gone. And now we'll go to the next one. This is going to be the 600, I believe. Yep, 600. And, yep, you can hear it. Tuck that back. I'm kind of keeping my left hand up here to kind of, I mean, this clamp does a pretty good job at keeping things in place, but when you're kind of pushing up on it a little bit, it will cause that to raise. Yep. So that's that. Now we go to the 800. Yep, got that burr. And just lay this nice and flat. And remove the burr. Now we're on to the ceramic. So this is where we start to get into the polishing phase. So this one you can really hear a huge difference right when you start. It'll sound like a real scratching, and then the noise will be much fainter. I'm just not going to say anything, and I'm going to have you guys listen so you can hear it for yourself. And there it is. I don't know if the camera picked that up or not, but it went from like kind of like a shh, 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 to now it's like a it's okay. And we'll feel. You can hear the burr on the backside there, but you see how shiny that is? That's when we're getting somewhere. You can see that reflection. And same thing, just like we've been doing. Now we're going to target the burr on the backside. Alright, so today we're talking about Tanto Tip sharpening. So Tanto Tip, okay, right here on the tip of the broadhead, they kind of have a much sharper angle there. They're I mean, not exactly what I would call sharp, right? Their primary purpose is literally to breach bone. But keeping in mind with the thought process about, you know, getting these broadheads as sharp as possible, putting a little bit of an edge on there, you know, it's not going to harm anything. It's only going to help. So what I like using is these here sharpening stones, right? And so I'm just going to lay them out. It takes a little bit of effort, right? You can see that there's not, I mean, the angle on this is not super pronounced or anything. And so trying to line this up kind of on that flat edge to kind of put a good edge on there, it's going to take you some trial and failure. That's just all there is to it. But basically, all I really do is a nice flat stone like this, and I just kind of try to get them so they're like flat. I can kind of feel it there. It kind of like rocks back and forth. And we're going to just drag it across that, okay? And you'll take a look. You can see this is the side that I've done. I haven't quite gotten it completely perfect. It looks like I missed a little bit of a spot there. So let's go ahead and rock that back just a little bit more than what we were before. And just keep trying to keep that same angle. It's important not to like do a bunch of this while you're dragging it, right? You'll just feel it kind of resting on that flat spot. And you can see there, I got it perfectly that time. So do like 10 strikes on each one, or swipes basically. So we're going to do the other side of that same side of the broadhead, I guess. So this would be like 180 degrees on the other side. So this time we're going to push with using the thumb instead of pull with the finger. And you don't want to push down super hard either. So this is the side we were just working on. That already feels a ton better. So now I'm going to work on this side where my thumbnail is. So same thing, just find that angle. And it's going to take you some trial and error. You'll just feel it just kind of rest on that spot. It's a little difficult to find because it's not a whole lot of surface area there. And that's what we just did right there. Okay, and so now we're going to do the other side of it. It's a little easier, I think, using my thumb to push because I can see the back side of this and know that it's laying flat on there. It is a little bit more difficult to control it when you're actually moving it across the diamond stone, though. And that's the side that we just did. Okay, so that was the 200. Now we're gonna go down. So, oops, that's it's too soft. I had them stacked the other way. There we go. So now we're gonna go to 400, and same thing. Just find that spot where it just kind of rests there, just like that. Nice. Doing real good here. Okay, and now we're going to go to this side where my thumbnail is. So we're going to pull again. Looking really, really good. All right, now let's go to the next one. That's actually looking really, really good. Super, super happy with the way this is turning out. It is such a small, there's just the smallest amount of surface area, and so it can be a little bit difficult to kind of, you know, just getting it resting perfectly on that flat side, but you can see we're looking really, really even, pretty good. I'm super, super happy with that. So we're just going to keep going. It's not waiting for hunting seasons to open up in September. Bear opens up next month, so I know that I'm not having to do anything last minute. Yeah, this is turning out really good. I'm super happy with that. I just, you know, like preparing and getting everything good to go and know that it is just completely dialed. You can see there. And see that, just to kind of show you guys just how simple that really is. You can even sharpen these broadheads using these plates. I've done it before I got my Worksharp. You know, you just kind of line them up there on that side, just like so, like we were doing. And what I would actually do is like little tiny swirls, kind of moving up and then back down. And it works really, really good. You can even take like a piece of wood, make yourself a wedge, and kind of put it between the broadhead and the plate too. To kind of help keep that same angle. So, all right, so now we've got both sides of this done. You can see that nice mirror reflective surface. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to take some of this stropping compound. So this stuff doesn't take much. It's just kind of like a real light powdery kind of a substance, and we're just going to put some of it on there like that. And what I like doing is just kind of getting it into the grain. So kind of just work it back and forth a little bit. Okay, like that. And you don't need to put any more Sharpie or anything on there. It's not really going to matter a whole lot. But all we're going to do is we're going to basically work this down the strop. Now, you'll find a spot here and like you can't see it. Maybe I can grab something like this pick just for representation, but it's not quite flat, so this pick just kind of starts going underneath. You see how I can pick that up? Okay, you'll feel it as you kind of rock back, and right there is right where it kind of rests flat. See here, you can see, like, obviously I'm exaggerating that and picking that up, but right there you'll feel it. It just kind of wants to rest there, and you'll work with the edge. Don't, you know, like put the sharp side. Don't work this way, okay? Because you're gonna end up cutting your leather. But you're just going to take it and just slide it across there, like so. You can see this is changing color. So it's just taking small amounts of metal off there, little tiny bits, and it's kind of going to change the color of that a little bit. You know, after I've done, like, when I did all my broadheads, I did, you know, like all 6 of them, and then all 6 of like the Ranch Fairy heads kind of all at once. And I had to keep applying that alumina oxide on there, and kind of cleaning this stuff off. I just used an old toothbrush, you know, kind of brush that stuff out and bang it off, and then use like a paper towel. I honestly have no idea where I'm at. It's not really super critical. I think we're probably like around 30 or so times now. And then what we're going to do is, you can't really feel it. If I do it with like a piece of paper, sometimes you can see it, but we're going to basically, instead of going this way, I'm going to turn the broadhead over 180, and I'm going to drag, oops, without bumping the camera hopefully, but I'm going to drag this backside where the burr would be the opposite way, and I'm only going to do it just a couple times, okay? Just to make sure there's no burr on there. Okay? And we're going to call that good. Now we're going to do the next side, all right? And now we're going to do this backside. So I can kind of feel, you can kind of hear that. I can feel the burr on the backside here, so we'll go ahead and get that off there. And there it is. No more burr. Okay, and now what we're going to do, it's going to make a mess on this, but I don't really mind. We're going to turn this over to the fine side of the strop now, and we're going to do the same thing. Oh yeah, no burr. And now let's do the other side. All right, now let's see what we got. Let me grab a piece of paper real quick. Just go ahead and, oh yeah. I mean, let's see here. So I don't have like the hairiest arms in the world, but oh yeah, see that? Took them plumb off. You can see them there on the edge of the broadhead. So that's obviously a ridiculously sharp head. I showed you guys kind of how it started with, and let's go ahead and finish this off. I'll show you what I put on the edges, and then we'll also do the shaft conditioner, so stay tuned. Alright, so what I use for shaft conditioner is this Seriously Slick shaft conditioner, but like we discussed, for the edges, I like using these Eagle Tears blade guard. This stuff just kind of acts as like a rust prohibitor. So, and you'll basically just kind of roll the smallest amount out, just kind of like chapstick. And then I just kind of drag it along the edges here. And then I will just kind of take my thumb and just work it along there. And then the back side, because remember we moved some of that Cerakote off there too. And this side we applied some too. Just be careful not to cut yourself. I mean, these things are so ridiculously sharp right now, you probably wouldn't notice it right away. Okay, just like that. That's good to go. And then the shaft conditioner stuff, it's a little bit different. I generally will put it on, like, you know, a rag or something. But you know, I'll just take a little bit of it like that on my finger, and I'll kind of roll it around a little, and then just kind of apply it. It really does not take much of that stuff at all. You can see that it's getting the carbon kind of shiny. And we'll just work this around. and then they tell you, you know, let it permeate into the carbon for, you know, a couple minutes and then wipe it off. I generally don't even, you know, wipe it off. I will after, you know, like a day or two or whatever. It's not super critical, but there you have it. So that's it. That's the finished 11 factor arrow build. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get this video posted. And let me get you guys set up for my final thoughts. All right, so there you have it. Honestly, that wasn't too bad. I would say total time, you know, putting an edge on that probably took me like 12 minutes. It's not like it's changing anything about your setup at all whatsoever. I know there's like, you know, always has been, probably always will be, a lot of opinion and stuff on the heavy versus light arrow setup. I mean, what the best bow manufacturer is, you know, who the best archer is, all that kind of stuff, right? There's things that are like, you know, there's a lot of personal opinion in pretty much all of this. But you know, if you're maybe not super sold on the, hey, I want to shoot, you know, north of a 650 grain arrow, or you know, even if you are adamant about shooting expandable heads, I mean, literally taking the time that it takes just to sharpen those, there's no downside to it at all whatsoever. You know, there is always room for improvement in those out of the box. So I recommend you just at least give it a go. Apply it this hunting season, and you know, see the results for yourself. It doesn't cost you to spend any money. I mean, you could even, in place of using these sharpening stones, okay, these diamond stones, I mean, you could go to your local hardware store and for like 10 bucks buy a pack of like different grits of sandpaper, lay it across like a sheet of metal or glass, that way you know it's perfectly flat and flush, pull it tight and tape it down, and just sharpen these things, you know, on the edge of something. I mean, it's not like super critical. It's not a really expensive thing to do, and can be the difference in you getting, you know, enough penetration to hit vitals on, you know, potentially not your greatest hit, versus not hitting vitals just because you didn't take the time to sharpen. So there literally is no downside to it. So I'm going to get this thing edited up and posted. And as always, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I will answer them to the best of my ability, and if I don't have the answer, I will get it for you. Also, if you guys have any suggestions on some content that you would like to see, definitely post that in the comment section below, and yeah, we'll see if I can get gearing towards getting that video for you guys. So thanks for following along. Stay tuned for more content. Please like, share, and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Would love to see this channel grow, and I just want to be the best that I can for helping everybody out wherever I can. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great day.